Lance Ingram, welcome to the Built to Multiply podcast. So tell us a little bit about how you came to faith.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on the podcast. I feel like I've been asking for months to get on, and finally was able to get an appearance with you. So
we hold a very certain standard, but you're getting there.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I kept texting, got no replies, so I figured I'd just show up because I knew you were shooting today. So thank you for having me. Man, so I feel like we'll go all the way back. Growing up, I grew up in the faith. I was surrounded by it. My parents, very involved in the church. We were always at the church. Growing up, I went to public school up until 4th grade, and then 4th through 8th grade went to a private Bible school. And then throughout high school, went back to public school. So it was just something that we were always around. And it felt like it was just a part of my life, but it was never a big part of my life. It was just something that I just knew was there. And so I feel like it wasn't until post-grad of college where I really started taking my faith more seriously and started digging into actually asking myself the questions of like, why do you believe the things that you say you believe? What do these things even actually mean? Because for so long, it was just things that I'd been taught and I was told, I would just say yes to, and I could answer the questions with the right Bible answer because it had just been around me for so long, but I didn't actually like understand it or know it or dig into it. And so it wasn't until post-grad where I was like, kind of just had a moment. I was like, why do I actually believe the things that I say I believe, and dig into it? And that's kind of, I would say, where my faith actually really started. And from there, it's been a journey. I mean, that was probably like 10 years ago when I kind of had that moment. And it's just been a progression ever since then. I think a big part of my faith growth has actually been entrepreneurship. I think that there's a lot of things in life that'll test you. Life is just hard in general. We were told that. But I think entrepreneurship, you have to have a lot of dependency, at least for me, on God. And, you think you have an idea, you think you have something that can work and you can turn it into something, but it's just an idea. And so I feel like a lot of my time in the last 10 years, especially entrepreneurially, has just been spent in prayer. That's what I tell people, the secret sauce to Waterloo, which it really shouldn't be like a secret. I should probably be more outspoken about this, is your prayer life. Like, you can go and do all these drop-ins and you can go and give all these estimates, but I believe like if you're not pairing it with prayer, it's kind of wasted. You're not getting the most out of it. So I don't know. I think I just threw a lot at you to your one question, but
yeah. Yes, good. So take us back to when you were making your faith your own, so post-grad. So when you started to have that question to yourself where it was, hey, why do I believe the things that I believe? What did you actually do at that point to make your faith your own?
Man, that's a good question. I would say I just had to kind of start looking at the way I was living and my priorities, and a lot of it was about people pleasing. I think that's still something I can struggle with at times, and knowing what I should be doing, but not having the courage to do it because I'd rather just go with the flow. And so I just had to assess my life and be like, okay, I can be like everybody else. I can continue to go out and drink and party and all those things. Or you can start to say no, you can start to peel back. You can start to, for me, it was like, I'd rather go to church on Sunday morning and not be hungover. Like, I actually want to be there. I want to be present. I want to fill myself with the word that's coming off the stage, where before a lot of it was like, I can balance this life of Christianity and also, being social and being one of, the guys that just goes out and we drink a lot, but I'll still make church Sunday morning, even if I'm hungover, but it was more of like a checking the box thing. And so I think after I had that realization for myself, it was like, okay, why do I believe these things? Get to the bottom of that, start to dig into what these things really mean and how they are affecting me and how I should be affected by them. And then, the things just like managing my priorities and kind of shifting my perspective on a lot of the way I was living to an extent.
So for you, it was just very much, you made a conscious decision and then things came after that.
Yeah, I would say it was a conscious decision. And then, I don't know, it's like it was a period, and still can be, of that growth season. Experiencing growth can be tough, and it was challenging, and you're trying to say no to things and just learn this new way of life, really.
Yeah. Mine's actually pretty similar. So when I was going out of high school, I had a couple of football scholarship offers. And I remember going to these Division I schools, and it was kind of like, hey, if you come here, we'll make you the best football player you can be. And then you'd get paired up with your host to recruit for the night. And at one stop in particular at a school, the guy that I was staying with actually passed out at a party. He's 22 years old. I was 17 at the time. And I actually had to carry him back up this hill back to the dorm. And I just remember, number one, he was a big dude. And so, I mean, we're talking 2 a.m. I'm carrying this full-grown man up a hill. And I'm a little bit, starting to feel the hangover myself. Yeah. And I just had this thought where it was, I'm 17 years old, and this is who I'm going to be in 5 years if I go to this school. Yeah. And so for me, it was almost just a conscious decision and kind of working in the same way that you did. And so, but now, because I know you well, so you're married, you've got one kid. So tell us a little bit, what's it look like leading faithfully in your household today?
Yeah, I feel like this is something I've been reflecting on a lot more. I would say even this last couple weeks, even truly leading into this podcast, I was looking at books in regards to this. It's just way different. I mean, I think in the last year, my life has changed drastically in terms of responsibilities. And I think something that I've been trying to, lie to myself about maybe, or push off, is certain leadership roles I do have in my life and me not fully wanting to take accountability for them, whether it's being more present at home and leading with a 1-year-old daughter and my wife, or even work-wise in the way that work has changed in the last year, and growing teams and people that I'm responsible for and being a leader in those roles, where I think I've been a little bit passive in a lot of areas where I'm I know I should be more of a leader in these roles, but I'm trying to push it away because I don't want to accept the responsibility of it. I think I've just been feeling the weight of it recently, where I'm you've got to accept the responsibility of it. I think God's gifted, to me, Waterloo is a gift. I started it, but where it's led to is beyond anything I could have done on my own. I truly believe it is fully a gift from God, and I'm lucky to just be the recipient of it. And so I've been feeling a little bit guilty of denying the leadership roles that have been placed in front of me. And so I think faith-wise, it's just having the courage to step in fully to my faith. I think leadership means you're going to be different, and you've got to be okay with that. It can be hard to lead, and in order to do it, you're going to have to say no to a lot of things. You're going to have to deny yourself of a lot of things. Mm-hmm. If you want to be different, you've got to be different. You've got to act differently. You've got to hold yourself to a different standard. And a lot of those things cannot be, they're not always the most fun. But I feel like faith-wise, tying back into it, is just God calls us to live a certain life and, to be a certain somebody. And a lot of that ties into leadership role as well.
Yes. So why do you think that so many guys, especially our age, we reject responsibility and chase passivity?
Yeah. Well, one, I think it's just easy. I think it can be easier, to be passive. It can be uncomfortable to lead. It can be uncomfortable to go against the grain of what everyone else is doing. So I would say that's one, it's just more comfortable and easy to live a life of denying leadership role. I think there's regret that inevitably will come with that at some point, or even as you're doing it, you're I know I should be doing this, but I don't have the courage to stand up and go against. So that's one thing. I think too, maybe more and more today than it was in the past, I think just digital age, where you can just do everything from your phone, and you can be this certain somebody behind a screen and say these things that you would never say in person, but you can say it on your phone and create this alter ego, this alter personality, and then just live through it to where you're not actually, being that same person in real life. I think in the dating culture, it's created that with this male generation to where they can, look at things online that they probably shouldn't be, because they'd rather be passive than actually going out and approaching, someone that they want to date and having that real conversation and the courage to just go up and introduce themselves. I feel like it's pretty uncommon for guys to be doing that now. They'd rather just be that's scary to me, and I'm just going to wait till I get home so I can scroll on my phone or look at whatever, rather than actually go up and approach somebody and have the courage to just say, hi, I'm whatever. So I don't know. I just think leadership is becoming less and less within the male culture. And a lot of it really is just, passivity, laziness, and I think lack of courage.
Yeah. I heard this great quote probably 2 weeks ago. I forget where it came from, probably just somebody on YouTube that I was listening to. But the quote was, if you want to be exceptional, you have to be willing to be the exception. And I think it's just super easy to just fall into what everybody is doing. And especially within the faith culture, one of the stories I think about a lot is Noah in the ark, because he was living kind of in a way, and then at a time where nobody else was living like him. And then God gave him this call to go build this ark. And he was made fun of, and people talked down to him, told him all sorts of stuff, but he built it for like 70 years is what it ended up being, but just kind of faithfully was okay with being the exception and stepping out in leadership, doing something that was different. And I think, honestly, I think it's something that most guys kind of in our generation struggle with, is trying to move out of comfort and more into calling, whatever that might be for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think too, when it comes to leadership, or like, for Noah, God telling him to do something, it's like, you might have this internal feeling of like, I believe I'm supposed to be doing this, and I don't know where it's going to lead me. I don't know what the end result of it all is going to be. It doesn't really make sense for me to go and do this. But internally, I feel like God is asking me to do it, and you need to faithfully respond by just moving forward with action. And I think that's another part of it, like action, like actually doing it. I think that's where a lot of people stop, is at the action part. It's like, it's up here, but it's scary. I'm not going to push forward with it. Mm-hmm. So I guess there's just like this risk of like, I don't know what's going to go or where this is going to go. And also like sometimes, like mentioned earlier, leadership doesn't sound like fun, and it sometimes can't, like it's not fun, but you've got to just step up and step into that role of action.
Yeah. So for you, I know a little bit, actually, I know a lot about your story, but so you had just gotten married, and then you felt like you wanted to go start Waterloo Turf. So kind of talk a little bit more about that. So obviously, I'm sure you were a little bit terrified getting married, starting a new business. I'm sure your wife was, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously it had previous experience helping start a different turf company and med device. But yeah, the ultimate was like, all right, getting married. I don't want to be a part of this corporate world that I thought I wanted to be a part of. I want to, start this thing. And the goal was just to I want to eventually have the freedom to spend time with my wife and future kids, or golf when I want to, and not have to answer to somebody. I think I was a little bit naive. Like looking back, I definitely should have been way more scared and about what I was doing, but I was just like, quitting this, I'm starting this, we're getting married, like, let's just do it. And so, yeah, that's just kind of what happened. And then again, through the last 4 or 5 years, it's just been a progression of cool things happening. I mean, the other thing that happened, I don't really talk about it a lot, more like just with close friends and family and stuff. But like shortly after I started Waterloo, like just randomly, I was struck with chronic back pain. And like first year of Waterloo was a good year business wise, but I was legitimately in doctor's appointments, 7 appointments a week. I think we've spent upwards of close to 6 figures in medical bills first year, and it's progressed, it's gotten better through the last 4 years, but over the entirety of my time with Waterloo has been stricken with a battle of chronic pain and fighting that. And so I think there's everybody's got challenges. Just again, in life, it's hard, but I think the plus side to dealing with the chronic pain and everything that's gone into it is there's an extra layer of dependency on God. It's going to that many appointments as frequently as I have been, and pulling away from work and spending money that shouldn't be spending, but God continued to pour into Waterloo and grow it and grow it and grow it. And it also, I think, it just allowed me to not make Waterloo my identity. Being founder of Waterloo is it's cool, it's fun, but by no means is it something that I want my identity to be, or to be how people see me. And so I think there's a line you've got to walk as a child of God, as a believer, to where it's what you do is great, and God calls you to be great in your workplace, but your work should not be your identity. Your work should be done to glorify God. It shouldn't be the end all be all for you. And so anyways, with the chronic pain stuff, I think it just allowed me some separation from the business to, not make it my identity, because honestly, I've been in the last 4 years more focused on getting my health right than I have been on Waterloo, which is kind of weird because Waterloo's gone so well, but it is not in terms of priority, like my health has always been above Waterloo and the success of it. And so I think that's allowed me the separation to like not make Waterloo my identity and my everything, but more so like be spending time in prayer and asking God for healing and help and for his provision. That's something that me and my wife pray about a lot, is God's provision over us throughout this battle of not having great health and trying to start a business at the same time, and just seeing God continue to move Waterloo forward and pay the bills and like all the cool things that have happened.
Mm-hmm. So why not, especially in that first year, why not quit? I mean, first year of business is always challenging. Even if everything went right, it's still hard. And you have really, you had chronic back pain, so your health was an issue as well. Health insurance generally sucks when you're a business owner.
It wasn't great. I didn't even know we had it.
I mean, why not quit? I think most people would look at that and they'll say, man, I had it pretty good where I was.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I like saw it as a positive. I was like, I'm so thankful. Like I believe God had me quit my corporate job to become my own boss, because he knew that this chapter of my life was about to start with the health journey. And I was honestly, it was not like, it wasn't about quitting. It was more about, man, this sucks, but I'm so glad and so thankful I quit my job, because I have the ability to go to these appointments that I need to go to. And I wouldn't have had that ability had I been in that old job. And ultimately I would have ended up being fired with no business, no income. So I just saw it really as a blessing. I was like, I'm so thankful that God gave me the idea to quit, to start Waterloo, because now, even though I'm battling this thing, I have the opportunity to continue to make money and provide. So I don't know, quitting wasn't really an option. It was like more of a blessing. But people ask, like, did you ever think about quitting? And I honestly it never really crossed my mind to quit. I think when I decided to start Waterloo, I knew like how this was going to affect me and my wife. Again, we were getting married the same month. And so it was like, go all in on this, like burn the boats mentality or whatever, but just commit, like be committed, and again, be prayerful and see where God takes it. But I don't know, maybe he also like blinded me from like thinking in that way. I just don't remember that being a top of mind or even just a topic at all throughout Waterloo. So yeah, maybe it was just like God's protection of not even allowing my mind to go there or something.
Yeah, but I think that there's something just like in anybody who's starting a business or an entrepreneur, whatever the business might be, is you've got to have just an unwavering optimism and faith as well that whatever it is that you're going to do, that it's going to work out. Because if you have any doubts in your mind, that stuff creeps into the activities that you're actually working on from a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. And so you almost, whatever the situation might be, like you saying like, oh no, that was actually a positive because there's no way I could have kept a job. Most people will think that's crazy. But it's because when you're in the entrepreneur's shoe, you have to have this undying optimism that things are going to work out. So one of the things that you said that I think probably fed into like some of the optimism and the faith was just the importance of prayer within Waterloo Turf. So do you have any examples or any times you can think of where you sent prayer up and saw something come back down?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's just a lot of times when I was just single owner operator, and, you know, a huge part of this job is just keeping the schedule busy, keeping your crews running. And there's been so many times where Monday through Wednesday's booked and Thursday and Friday's not. And so you're just trying to get this thing filled up. And I remember specifically one time it was like, I really need a job for this Friday, like need it badly for this crew to keep them around, keep them fed. And it was Thursday afternoon, and I get a call from some old lady in Pflugerville that wanted turf. And I never do this, but she was like, I'll just send you the photos from my phone. I'll text it. And she texted it, saw it, sent her back a quote, and she accepted on the spot and was like, I'm ready to move forward tomorrow morning. So like that was like one where it's like, this is crazy. Yeah, like crazy. It filled it up immediately. And then, I mean, yeah, even like, you know, with our two turf pros here in Austin, Bobby and Gage, saying the same thing to them, like there's seasons to this turf game, and like winter can be a slower time, and you know, leads could potentially go down, but like just be praying over your leads before you go and interact with them. You know, be praying over every opportunity that you have, and you never know, winter could be the busiest time of our year. It's just like you've got to match what you're doing with prayer, or else I just don't think you're maximizing the opportunity of it.
That's awesome. Well, so one of the reasons why I wanted to start having conversations like this is when I started to get really interested in business, and I would go try to talk with faith aligned, values aligned entrepreneurs or business owners. The only guys that I could find were like 20 and 30 years ahead of me. And I just felt like the advice they gave was kind of like hindsight advice. Mm-hmm. So for example, one thing that many guys would say to me is, hey, make sure that you don't work too much. Make sure you spend a lot of time with your family. But then you have 20 of those conversations and it's like, well, this seems to be survivor bias, a little bit.
For sure.
Like, clearly these guys got to where they were because they were working their tail off.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I want to ask you is, so you've been in Waterloo for coming up on 5 years total now. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like, and obviously there's a long way to go within Waterloo with its growth, but just within these last 4 years, what do you feel like are some of the top traits about yourself or just activities that you've done that's helped Waterloo to grow?
I could like organization, being efficient with your time, all those things. I think that's just like, those are good things with life, like in general. But I think it goes back to like identity. And I think that's always been the biggest thing for me. It's honestly why I haven't wrapped my car, or like I never wrapped my car in the past. Like obviously Waterloo was doing fine enough to where that could have happened. But to me, it was just in my head, if I wrap my car, I'm taking this thing home with me. And that's when it starts to become identity. And I'm like, I don't want that. And so I think it's just separating work and life. It's very easy as an entrepreneur to make work your life, and it starts to just wrap yourself up in every single thing you do. And so I from the get-go, I just kind of made it a thing in my head where I'm like, this is going to be my 8 to 5. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be work, and work's going to have its 8 to 5 spot. But outside of that, like, we're going to limit where we let Waterloo come into play in my life, me and my wife's life, all that, because I think that's just when it can get a little bit messy, and you start to lose sense of yourself and all the other things that make you you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
no, I think so. So, I mean, I do believe that just as believers, like, our identity is not in the business. Yeah. Like, our identity is in Christ, and we're called to reflect the image of God. Yeah. And so we are image bearers, but one of the ways that we can do that is through work. And one of the things that we find in Scripture time and time again is that God is working. You can see God the Father as a gardener. You can see Jesus as, builder, a laborer, carpenter, and then the Holy Spirit works as a teacher in the New Testament. And so I do think that there is a trap that you can have as an entrepreneur, that you're putting so much time into your work that the business and the persona of an entrepreneur or business owner becomes your whole life. But then when the business disappears, you sell it, it doesn't work out. What happens? You lose your identity. But if your identity is rooted in Christ, it actually gives you a lot of freedom to steward the business and to take risks and do things that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have because you were afraid of losing your actual identity. So yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah, no, that's super well said, more well said than what I said. But I think too, it's like, you can try to be so controlling over your business and your work as an entrepreneur that you're not leaving room for God. I mean, he can have as much room as he wants. But like, to me, it was like, you got to leave room to allow God to work. Like, don't feel like you've got to control every single thing. Like, give it your best and do what you can. But like, at the same time, again, like, be praying through it all and let God work. And so, yeah, I think that's just kind of been the perspective from the get-go.
What would you say to guys who maybe they're thinking about going into business, they're interested in business ownership, but they haven't quite made that step yet?
It depends on the situation you're in, I think. Like for me, I was just getting married, no kids. Overhead was a little bit lower. I wouldn't make that same decision today with a now 1-year-old and like a house, but make sure you're in a good spot to do it. I mean, you don't have to like have 5 years of runway by any means, but like, don't jeopardize your life and your wife and your kids. Reach out to people that you really trust. Like, it's really easy to romanticize being a business owner. I think it's easy to look at it through like rose-tinted glasses of, you get to be your own boss and it's a thrill, and people tell you how cool it can be to be your own business owner, and that's really, something that has encouraged them or whatever. But like, when you actually step into the ring of being a business owner, the lenses disappear and it's like, oh, we're doing this thing. So check in with people around you to make sure you're not just hyping yourself up on this idea, and get like really valid and trusted input from the people that know you well. Be prayerful about it and be seeking the peace inside of you that is just like, yes, that's where the yes should come from. It shouldn't be like you forcing yourself to say yes and working yourself up to say yes and make the jump. Like, you should have the peace to where even if it doesn't fully make sense, you know internally it's like, this is where I should be going, this is what I should be doing. And again, I didn't do a lot of these things, so take it for what it is. But yeah, I don't think business ownership's for everybody either. You know, I think like there are some people that are better fit within a company, and that's just plays more to their personality and their characteristics and all those things. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of great things to business ownership, and there's a lot of struggles to it too.
Agree. Long-term, thinking about Waterloo, so from your perspective, what's the vision of your company?
I feel like we're aligned where it's just like, let's just grow this thing as largely as God allows it to grow with, you know, really great partners. I think that's the biggest thing is I care about this business so much. Like, Waterloo is a baby to me. It's like I was talking to my wife last night about, I found the original Waterloo Turf hat that I made, and it's so bad. It's like such a piece of junk, but it's so cool to me because at that time it was such a bit like, I was like, this is awesome. This looks cool. And now looking back, I'm like, that wasn't that awesome or cool, but it's a cool thing for me to have. And anyways, I just care about this business so much. And I want to make sure that the right people are put into place and it grows as much as God allows it to grow. But I just hope that it's like a blessing to anybody else that joins in with it and makes it their business, and they get out of it as much as I've gotten out of it. And we're more than just a turf company. I would be cool to like look back one day and this business impacted more than just people's backyards. So
yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff, Lance. Appreciate you joining the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me on.